but I just wanted to introduce Erik to you guys. He's a family man. I asked him earlier, what's the most important for him about family, and you know what he said? Something very unique: having family. I thought that was profound. Think about it, and we all need a support network, and what better support network than our family, right? And then I asked him one unique thing about him, his own life, and he said this: I don't like needles. And so how many of us can agree with that one? We don't like needles. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we're going to get right into this. And so Madison's going to fire off the questions that we have listed. There's 5 of them. And then after he's done with those questions, we're going to open it up to all of you. So obviously you're in business, and if you have something that you would like to ask, in my opinion, a successful business entrepreneur, which is Erik, fire away. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Madison.
Yeah, and I also want to add, for anybody that's struggling with audio or video, you can also put your questions in the comment section, and then I can ask them to Erik at the end as well. But first, Erik, why don't you start off by giving us a brief overview? David mentioned who you are personally, but why don't you mention a little bit of who you are professionally and how long you've been in the construction industry, when you opened / took over Zee's, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, thank you, David, for the introduction, and Madison, great question. So basically, Zee's been around, and I've been around with Zee since the beginning. I started it, founded it. Zee's been around since 2011, 2012. I started it because I had a couple other businesses that were in similar industry that I just saw were going to be becoming a dead-end industry company. It basically was office, cubicle installation, storage, and that kind of stuff, and the industry was changing. So I felt the need to kind of transfer over to something that would become more open-ended, create more opportunities, more clients, and also fulfill, I guess the best way to kind of put it is fulfill my joy. There's that Netflix TV show where she's like, hey, if it doesn't give you joy, why are you holding on to it? Very similar aspect of it, with the fact that, since I can remember watching just all these home shows on PBS. I didn't have cable in my childhood, so watching PBS, watching Home Again, Bob Vila, Alice's Old House, all those kinds of shows, I have always been just enamored with construction, especially building. And so with that comes the fact of that when we started Zee Construction, we started as a finish carpenter, so doing custom furniture, wainscot, trim, crown molding, that kind of stuff. Built it into just with networking, very similar to kind of with what we all try to do in business in general is networking. So with the networking with the different people I met, whether it be realtors, other contractors, whatever, built it into just that we were able to offer more services again and again and again. Just in that point of probably 2 to 3 years later, went from a finish carpenter to a general contractor. And that opened up just so many different opportunities for us as well. It got me to the point where when I was a kid, 9, 10 years old, I was like, man, this would be so cool to be doing what they're doing. Building homes, custom homes, remodels, you name it. And funnily enough, like having it kind of published on some sort of TV, any media kind of stuff, and that's kind of what we do now on a lot of our social media networks. But the opportunity to create a client's dream into a reality, it's always been a joy of mine to kind of do that, and so that's what we've been doing ever since we started.
Okay. And then the next question, what are some of the things that you do to set Zee apart from others in the industry, especially because construction, there can be a lot of different people and companies you can choose from?
Yeah, a lot of things that set us apart. I mean, everyone can do remodels, construction, tile work, flooring, whatever. What really sets us apart, I think, is I'll kind of sell myself out of work. I rather educate a client or a potential client into the fact of if they're wanting to get a quote for something. I just met with a client this morning where she's like, hey, I'm thinking about changing out my tub. What do I do? How can I, I've had some of the contractors say I need to gut the entire bathroom. And, I just educated her with the fact that, yeah, the tub needs to be replaced, so the tap needs to be pulled, but giving them education to where even if they don't go with us and they go with another contractor, or they go with another company, that they're knowledgeable enough to ask the right questions to their contractor, where they feel more comfortable in that world rather than potentially having someone, I don't want to say scam, but take advantage of them or, take them for more money than what the job should really be worth.
Yeah, great answer. So what are some of the elements of a good work culture that you use to keep and hire the best employees? Because I know, yeah, employee retention can be a hard thing nowadays.
Yeah. I guess the best way to kind of put this is positive attitude, really, and just kindness and empathy to anyone and everyone that you are hiring and or working with. I give an example as far as if I have subcontractors like electricians or plumbers that we work with and or internal crews, external crews, whatever, is that we're all working as a team. So whether even if I'm a general contractor, I am like the head honcho, the boss, the guidance of the entire group, it's really a fundamental practice that I wouldn't be able to be doing great without great teams working with me. So we, in that same principle, it's a partnership with anyone and everyone we work with. So it gives really a substantial change in view of that they're more invested in the project that we do rather than it's just a 9 to 5 clock in, clock out. And so we've skipped away from doing any hourly employees to per piece pricing crews. So that way, if the job it takes them 4 hours, 6 hours, or 10 hours to do the same job, they get paid the same amount. However, I feel like it creates a good energy level with the fact of them wanting to do the job right the first time, because if they have to come back, it's on their own dime. So they're going to do a good job the first time. They're going to do it as fast as they possibly can without cutting into shortcuts. But then at the same point, it's a solid kind of endeavor that also helps in the creation of keeping that budget on point for a client as well.
Got it. Okay. And then, was there ever a time that you may have thought about closing your business or things got hard essentially? And what made you continue to press on in the contracting industry?
Oh yeah, there's again, I've been self-employed since 2007. So if there's any business owner that has ever said no, I've never wavered on, hey, this is exactly what I want to do, they're lying to you, or they're lying to themselves. Because there's been many times where you're just sitting at home and you're like, man, head in hands, and you're like, is this the right path I want to go down? Is this worth the stress? Is this worth like the unknown future? And it really comes down to you have to have the right mindset for something like this. To be self-employed in general, just for whatever industry, whatever service, whatever you're doing, you have to have the right mindset, and it has to be a strong mindset. I wouldn't say on a monthly basis, but I would definitely say on a yearly basis, there's easily handfuls of times where I've sat down and I'm like, man, do I want to continue? Is this what I'm wanting to do? Like I could easily, I wish that I could go to say like Amazon and just get a 9 to 5 job and not worry about healthcare, not worry about what the next job is going to be, not worry about paychecks and all that kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, my passion and my excitement and my enthusiasm for what I do overtakes that every single time by leaps and strides. I mean, it's just so much more positive stuff that I see that in what I do that I don't see myself ever turning away from it. But there's definitely times where I'm like, man, this is tough.
Yeah. And so our last question, just to kind of end with a fun one, is what is the hardest and most rewarding part of owning a business?
I think that there's several of those. The biggest and most important, again, going back to what David had asked me prior, is family. Is the ability that instead of a regular 9-to-5 job, that I can make my own schedule. I can spend whatever kind of time I want with my family to make sure that I get to spend that with them, because everyone only lives once. So the ability to create and have time with family and loved ones in general. I mean, not just family, but just loved ones in general. To be able to spend that kind of quality time with them, I think that's really a huge part of what life's all about in the first place. So that ability to do whenever and wherever you want to do that kind of time, I think that's super, super important. The other big one really comes into who you are as a person. For me, I'm not a huge fan of working for someone else, other than I, of course, work for clients. But I think that's a different mindset than an actual boss. So I'm having to, on a daily basis, having to answer to someone else, not having to make them more money. I'm making my company money. I'm making myself money, and so I think that those two in general are huge hitters as far as the hardest and also the most rewarding sides.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely see that family motivation as David was talking about in the beginning in that answer. So that was super cool to see. Yeah, well, this is our point where I've asked all my questions. And so I want to open up the floor to you all. And just take the time to ask Erik any questions you may have about his business or about being a business owner in general.
I've got one. I always ask this from successful people. What does your daily routine look like? Concisely. You don't have to go through all the minutia, but I know for me, I wake up and I have a certain process and I have an inbox and I have tasks and all. What does your successful process look like on it? Not the bad days, because maybe one of your kids winds up in an emergency room or something. That's completely different. But what does a good day look like?
On a day-to-day basis, it's I have a hint of OCD-ness, so I have to have everything kind of planned out. However, I also have ADHD, so I'm not a huge fan of that routine and plan. So it's a battle each day to do that. But the first and foremost is I start by kind of looking at the schedule that I have planned for the day. So where I need to be, who I'm going to be talking with, kind of getting a kind of growing into what I'm going to have to deal with on the day-to-day basis. Talking with clients, talking with my sales team, talking with crews, dealing with jobs, inspections, whatever. And then the day is littered with those kinds of appointments. So usually on a given day, we usually only set up about 2 to 3 appointments for clients, because of course there's always going to be the necessity not only to just check in with crews, but also that crews may have issues, that there may be issues on the job, that there might be obstacles, there might be hiccups that need to be dealt with. Then there's emails. I mean, on a given time, on a given day, I'm easily getting 40 to 50, maybe plus emails from variety of different people. So answering those, Because the other end of, as far as being successful, is, as far as a contractor goes, I believe, but I think in general across the board for any business, is being responsive. That me as a consumer, me as a client, I'm not huge on, if I've sent an email out and I don't get a response within a handful of days, well, it doesn't seem like I'm important enough for them to reach back out to me. So very similarly, I do the same for my clients, and rather just anyone in general, including my subs, including my crews, whoever it might be, I try to be responsive. So email response, and then of course there's either training, there's the business networking stuff, because I think that in general, being a business owner, at least in my past, has been a very isolating gig. So I have maybe a handful of friends from high school even that are business owners, but there's not a lot of business owners out there anymore. So trying to talk with someone that has a 9-to-5 gig doesn't really understand what you may be going through, but obviously having that kind of that wall to chat with the similar like-minded people. So BNI or any networking groups that we do, it's kind of nice to kind of have that semblance and that companionship with different people to have those chats. But of course, networking, and then having either conversations or my weekly sales meeting with my sales manager. And then really the end of the day is just filled with, depending on how far in the night or in the evening or in the afternoon I want to go. Sometimes I could be working till 7, 8, or 9 at night. Sometimes I could be off early because we haven't had any issues with clients, with the jobs, whatever. So maybe 2 to 3 in the afternoon I'm off, and then I get to spend time again going back to the family. Oh, and the same last part of the day is filling in for, like, pre-scheduling myself for the next day. So then when at the very beginning of the day, when I look at my schedule, I've already planned that the night before as well. So I do pre-plan that evening as well for the next day as well. So then when I do wake up to look at my calendar the next morning, I'm basically just, it's kind of warming up, kind of like stretching before you run.
What kind of CRM do you use?
So, the funny thing is, we are right in the midst right now of changing CRMs. Right now, my new CRM is JobTread, and on a separate level, Pipeline Pro. So between those two, those are the Pipeline Pro. And so between those two, both of those programs, both those apps run the company.
Does anybody else have any questions that they want to ask?
How'd you get so good looking, Erik? No, you got that logo. I just can't get over the logo. I just had to, yeah. So, so I just want to say thank you, Erik. If there's any other questions, fire away now. Thank you for making yourself available. And obviously, we're going to record this. We'll put this up on our webinar page on our website. So thanks again, Erik. And we'll definitely see you on Friday. And if anybody has any other questions you didn't think about now, we could certainly get that out to Erik, and would love to see you again in any one of our upcoming webinars. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, David. Thank you, Madison. We'll see you guys all later.
Yeah, of course.
You got it. All right. Bye.